Since the late 14th century, Florence had been regarded as the cradle of the Renaissance, this new movement in revival of the ancient arts and literature. By the 16th century, you had a very large scholarly community, and Galileo's father belonged to that community. So he came from a very special family in that respect, that his father was extremely well educated and associating with some of the leading scholars and patrons in the city. His father was a professional lutenist and composer, but he was also very interested in examining the acoustical properties of strings to see whether the ancient ideas on them were correct or not. And he said experiment and experience mattered far more than authority. And of course that was the line that his son took in all of his scientific work. So I think he inherited that very much from his father, this attitude that experience and experiment mattered far more than just what was passed down by tradition. Yeah, well, Galileo no doubt learnt the lute from his father, and I think he would have picked up a whole lot about music theory from his father, and we know that he enjoyed playing the lute, particularly in later life when he was in house confinement, sentenced by the Inquisition. We know that it was a great solace to him in those years. We know that Galileo was associated with Monteverdi very briefly. He asked Monteverdi to acquire a very lovely violin for his nephew, who was studying the violin, which was made in Cremona. Monteverdi himself, after his death, was actually referred to as a great professor of chemistry in one poem, praising the outstanding quality of his music, which seems a very strange accolade for a composer. We know that Monteverdi was interested in alchemy, which at that time was still regarded as a valid branch of science.